Welcome back to TMZ Live. There are some Americans who have gone over to Ukraine to fight the fight to preserve their homeland. One is a guy named Andrey Liscovich. He is an executive, or was an executive, with Uber, Harvard educated, born in the Ukraine, and he is there right now. He went back to the Ukraine. He is prepared to die for his country. This is a dramatic, important story, and Andrey joins us right now. Andrey, welcome to TMZ Live.
Thanks for having me, Harry.
So, this is really such an incredible story. So my understanding is you were working in San Francisco. What moved you to go back to your homeland and do what you're doing?
It was a deeply emotional decision. I grew up in Ukraine. I spent the first 16 years of my life in Zaporizhia. This is my hometown. This is where I'm right now. I spent 6 years of my life in Russia, and a lot of my close personal friends are Russian from my college days, and I finished my graduate school in the US and stayed in Silicon Valley and has spent my entire professional career there. For me, this conflict is very personal, and I could not sit idly by while horrific events were taking place in my home, and I had to come here to understand how it could be useful. There's always a fog of war, and you have a hard time judging what's the most impactful action to take from afar. I had to be here to see how I could apply myself.
What exactly are you doing there? My understanding is you're trying to get supplies to the people who need them, and God knows there are lots that people need.
It's incredible to see how many people, civilians, have stepped up and offered to join the army since the war started. Over 100,000 people have joined the army. Unfortunately, the army does not have supplies for them. You can imagine a guy in jeans, sneakers, coming in a sweater and getting an AK-47 and perhaps a few spare magazines and not get much besides that. So my job is to help them get all the other supplies, clothes, food, shoes, everything else they need to be productive and be able to preserve their life on the battlefield and enhance their performance.
My understanding is that you actually drafted a will on your laptop because I guess that's the reality of war, right?
I don't want to die, but when you go to a war zone, there's always a possibility, and I want to make sure that my family is taken care of, and I've made the right provisions for the people I love.
So if I understand correctly, are you currently in a bomb shelter as we speak? Is that where you are staying when you are not out helping with the supplies? I'm
not in the bomb shelter right now, but I go there probably twice a day where there's an air raid alarm. I spent 5 hours last night in the shelter. I'm in my room at one of the hotels in the city, but going to the shelter is a daily occurrence. And how is the mood? Do you feel safe, or is it a constant state of panic? I just can't imagine what it's like being back there. It's incredibly calm. People are very determined to resist. There is this grim determination to not let Putin into the city. There's no melancholy. There's no panic. It's very, very calm. And I just want to make sure that these people are prepared and they have a fighting chance with all the supplies we're trying to get to them.
Andrey, you are in such a unique position because you've lived in America, you've lived in Ukraine, and you're there now experiencing war. For a lot of Americans, it is difficult to understand the resolve that people have where they would prepare to die and to fight this, David and Goliath fight to preserve their homeland. We accept freedom as a given, and it's not a given in Ukraine. It's hard for a lot of Americans to understand that dynamic of how things can be calm, as you describe, that people are this resolved, that they are almost fatalistic about it. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because it really is just a phenomenon that's just captured the world's attention.
It's an incredible atmosphere that you witness here. My theory is that personal behavior of the leadership has been largely responsible for this level of resolve. The fact that Zelensky has chosen to put his life on the line and refused to evacuate when Kyiv was in a dire situation the first 2 days of the war has shown to the people that they are not going to be abandoned by their leadership, and they have rallied around him. And in many ways, I'm here because I've seen Zelensky's willingness to fight, and this courage is contagious.
What did you think of Zelensky before the war? Curious.
I actually voted for him. After I voted for him, I had some disappointments, but since the war started, his behavior has been absolutely stellar. He has been an absolutely unifying leader that has been able to bring the country together. His bitter rivals, his political opponents, are now standing by him in Ukraine, in Kiev, in very difficult circumstances, willing to die. Poroshenko, the mayor of Kiev, boxer Vladimir Klitschko, Vitaly Klitschko, and his brother Vladimir Klitschko. These people are people of means. They could have left. They are there in difficult circumstances, sharing the fate with their people. And that's admirable. That's worth defending.
Well, Andrey, just the story it's remarkable. It's tragic. But what you're doing is so great and important.
Thank you very much for what you're doing.
I mean, you're amazing too. So the best of luck to you. Please stay safe.
Thank you for having me. And I'm very fortunate to have an incredible amount of support from the United States. The entire group, the Ukraine Defense Fund, has a large number of volunteers in the U.S. that have contributed to this effort with money, time, resources. And anyone who wants to learn more can go to social at UKR Defense Fund and see what we're doing. Thank you very much.
By the way, are you planning on coming back to the U.S. or are you going to stay in Ukraine indefinitely?
I was planning to come here for the war. If the outcome is positive, I'll come back. I have an apartment in San Francisco. I was leaving with a small backpack with a couple change of clothes. I thought of this as a temporary thing, but you never cannot predict war. It's this future is very difficult to predict.
Well, you're inspiring. Thank you, Andrey.
Thank you, Harvey.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jamie.